This is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite and John Lawrence in San Diego, California, Ike Pappas in Jerusalem, and Charles Kuralt on the road to Eagle Pass, Texas.
Good evening. American astronauts Borman, Lovell, and Anders are whirling about the moon on this Christmas Eve, further away from home than man has ever been. It may be lonely for them, so far away, 230,000 miles from their families, but they are busy making history that will loom large as long as there is civilization on Earth. For in their remarkable Apollo 8, they are the explorers who have first transited space and have opened the way for the lunar age. With a cheery, "See you on the other side," the spacecraft disappeared behind the moon exactly on schedule at exactly the right spot early this morning. The engine fired perfectly, and when they emerged on this side of the moon, 36 silent, long minutes later, they were in lunar orbit as planned. Jim Lovell said the moon looked like gray plaster of Paris. On the next revolution, the first television pictures with commentary from the moon. Let's look at these pictures now, then get an evaluation from three leading space experts, including Britain's Sir Bernard Lovell, who spoke to us during this morning's live coverage.
Very bright and not too distinct in this area. I'll give you a shot of the horizon.
Roger.
How's that look? Is it on the top of your picture?
Apollo 8, this is Houston. It's a good picture of the horizon. We can't see many terrain features as yet.
There's a very new bright impact crater. Should be in the field of view now.
Roger, Bill.
Do you see it in the upper part of your screen?
Say, Bill, how would you describe the color of the moon from here?
The color of the moon looks a very whitish gray, like dirty beach sand, with lots of footprints in it.
Don't these new craters look like pickaxes striking concrete, leaving a lot of fine haze dust? Jerry, as a matter of interest, there's a lot of what appear to be very small new craters that have these little white rays radiating from them.
Roger, Jim. Looks like we just got...
Roger, we're passing over the crater Borman. And there's Anders out there. Lovell's right south of it.
Roger.
Jerry, another interesting feature, these small impact craters have dark spots in the center where it appears that they buried in and hit some new material down below that's got a lot of fine white dust around them.
Roger, understand, Jim. This Houston, Apollo 8, this is Houston. Looks like we can see Collins now.
Roger, here's Collins for you.
And Collins is right on the edge of Space C, which we're about to pass over.
Roger.
Houston, this is Apollo 8. We're going to terminate our program for this pass and get on with preparations for LOI-2. Here we go.
Well, Gene Shoemaker has been watching here with all of us and has some specific observations on some of the incredible narration that was. They're talking about small craters with white rays coming out from them. What is that?
We think the rays simply consist of fresh material, fresh rock, thrown out of these craters. And are, in fact, they're characteristic of what we believe to be impact craters.
Jim Lovell was talking about the dark center.
There's still a puzzle as to what the dark material is in some of these small craters. He suggested, as you recall, that the craters were dug down into something darker, and that may be the right explanation. We simply don't know what it is.
We're interested primarily in the Earth, of course, and in the long run, perhaps a very long run, in the possibility of other Earth-like planets possibly inhabited. We would like to know how the Earth was formed and what conditions were on the Earth in the early years of its history when life appeared here. It happens that the first billion years of the Earth's history are completely erased by the erosion of water and the biological activity of the life that has since developed. That missing billion years is the critical billion years in which life appeared on this Earth, according to a fossil record. And we have a chance, not a certainty, but a good chance of finding out something about it by studying the surface of the moon.
The people who've been very closely connected with Apollo have been trying to justify it, or cost-effectiveness. Everybody has to justify cost-effectiveness nowadays. Tend to lose sight of the fact that the really main and major feature of this enterprise is the unfolding of the human spirit and the demonstration that civilization is still virile. Virile in the sense that as soon as one has the capability of doing anything, however dangerous and difficult it is, one goes along and does it. And this is the way great advances are made. And it'll be a very, very sad day when human beings can do something, even marginally, and sit back and don't do it because it's going to be too difficult or too expensive. This, I think, is a great moment as far as I'm concerned, this clear-cut demonstration of the reality of the human spirit.
About midday, Commander Borman took a moment to read a Christmas prayer. A lay reader at an Episcopal church in Houston, Borman apologized for having to miss tonight's services. Then he offered his prayer to his own congregation and, as he put it, to people everywhere.
Give us, O God, the vision which can see thy love in the world in spite of human failure. Give us the faith to trust the goodness in spite of our ignorance and weakness. Give us the knowledge that we may continue to pray with understanding hearts. And show us what each one of us can do to set forward the coming of the day of universal peace. Amen.
Mission Control in Houston said late today the astronauts' voices show signs of fatigue, and a spokesman said the space flyers are very tired as they press to get as much data as possible before leaving the moon. Around the world, people paused in their Christmas preparations to follow the flight on radio and television and in newspapers. Castro's Havana Radio, for what's thought to have been the first time, rebroadcast a Voice of America program, 8 minutes of Spanish-language coverage of the Apollo mission. At 9:30 tonight Eastern Time, CBS News will cover Apollo 8's second live telecast from the lunar surface, the last close-up look we'll have before the astronauts start for home. And at 1 a.m. Eastern Time, CBS will present a half-hour report as the astronauts leave lunar orbit for home.
George, what would you think if I got a mini skirt?
A woman your age?
Oh, I'm not that old. And stop using all the shampoo.
Don't tell me you're not hip to Pearl Concentrate. All this lather and...
George!
Unbreakable, too. I've decided you can get a mini skirt if I can get bell-bottom pants.
Oh, forget it. But I will let you grow your hair long.
Pearl Concentrate for the hip family.
A $12 dress ruined.
No, it isn't. The stain barrier's been broken. Broken by brand new Tide XK. Only detergent with the XK enzyme.
The grape juice stain is gone. Tide XK outcleans my ordinary detergent by a mile. It's a miracle.
Break the stain barrier. Get new Tide XK with the XK enzyme. It cleans far beyond the reach of any regular detergent.
The men of the Pueblo came home today from 11 months of captivity in North Korea. 2 military planes brought them to Miramar Naval Air Station near San Diego and a Christmas Eve reunion with their families. John Lawrence reports.
After 11 months in captivity, 2 days after their release, after one of the strangest episodes in diplomatic history, the crew of the USS Pueblo has come home. 82 men. You can see commander of the ship, Captain Lloyd Bucher, the steel-jawed skipper of the electronic ship, seized off the coast of North Korea in January. That long-awaited reunion with his wife, who waited so valiantly all these 11 months and fought in every way she knew possible to win the release of her husband and his crew. The families have come from all across the United States. Maine, Texas, California, where many of the crew members live. Daughters and wives, children and parents. They've brought their Christmas gifts with them, but it seems from here, this is the happiest Christmas gift of all. As Captain Bucher addressed the audience, his voice appeared to crack with emotion, to the concern of naval officials at his side.
In that land that is so completely devoid of humanity, so devoted to the enslavement of men's minds, my primary thoughts were the embarrassment that we caused the United States by losing one of its very fine ships to the North Koreans, and that thought played on my mind continuously.
The 83rd member of the Pueblo crew came home today as well. The body of Dwayne Hodges, the 21-year-old crewman killed as his ship was seized.
Despite several interruptions by higher officers there as Commander Bucher spoke to the crowd, he did seem to finish his prepared remarks. The White House today expressed President Johnson's serious concern about the reported beatings of Pueblo crewmen while captives and said an investigation has been ordered. In Vietnam, 5 U.S. negotiators boarded an unarmed helicopter today for a flight to a so-called no-man's land 50 miles northwest of Saigon and a meeting with Viet Cong representatives to arrange the release of 3 American prisoners. The names of those prisoners, captives up to 7 months, were released today by the U.S. command in Saigon. They're Specialist 4th Class James Brigham of Ocala, Florida, Specialist 4th Thomas Jones of Linville, Indiana, and PFC Donald Smith of Akron, Pennsylvania. The Christmas ceasefire is now in effect in South Vietnam. So far, the Allies report 9 enemy violations, only 2 of which were described as relatively serious. 8 Americans were wounded in those actions. Air Force Captain Dale Noyd, who was court-martialed for refusing to train student pilots for Vietnam duty, today won a Christmas reprieve from confinement. Justice William O. Douglas ordered that Noyd remain free until January 10th, when the Supreme Court can consider his appeal.
In your circle of friends, there may be someone who hasn't found out yet about True Filter cigarettes. Share the wealth. Hand a friend a True. Let him discover True's air filtration system, the good feel of a built-in mouthpiece. Let him find out. True is a reduced tar and nicotine cigarette that tastes like a cigarette. Hand a friend a True. And watch them light up. With or without menthol, shouldn't your brand be True?
Soviet Foreign Minister Andrei Gromyko returned to Moscow today from his 4-day meeting in Cairo with Egypt's President Nasser. A joint statement issued after his return said that while both countries would cooperate fully with UN efforts to end the Middle East crisis, peace will come only after Israel ceases what the statement called its expansionist policy, and withdraws its forces from occupied Arab territory. Israeli Foreign Minister Abba Eban said the communique offered nothing new. Earlier in Jerusalem, Eban talked to CBS News correspondent Ike Pappas.
What the Soviet Union really says to us is that we should surrender our present security without getting real peace in exchange. They keep stressing this business of withdrawal from the ceasefire lines. They do not stress the need to establish a permanent peace, which must include the negotiation of a permanent and agreed boundary.
The International Red Cross said today that Equatorial Guinea has ended a 2-day ban on mercy flights to Biafra, thus assuring emergency food shipments for 650,000 refugees, mostly children, in that breakaway territory.
When someone has a cold or flu, a Get Well picture works wonders for the spirit. For the fever, you want the strongest fever fighter you can buy, aspirin. Get Bayer aspirin because Bayer is 100% aspirin, and aspirin is the strongest fever fighter you can buy. You see, a Get Well picture and Bayer aspirin, they work wonders. When you have acid indigestion, every second counts. So count on instant-acting Phillips tablets. Phillips tablets go to work in seconds. With one of the fastest stomach settlers ever discovered, each small Phillips tablet neutralizes more excess stomach acid than the leading antacid tablet that comes in a roll. So for fast relief from acid-upset stomach, when every second counts, count on instant-acting Phillips tablets.
In a gesture, he said, demonstrated his concern for the working man, Pope Paul today flew to the southern Italian city of Toronto to celebrate Christmas midnight mass. More than 15,000 workers crowded the floor of a huge steel mill as the pontiff, standing on an electric truck, rode to a makeshift steel altar in front of a huge blast furnace. Here is a report via the new Intelsat 3 satellite launched just last week.
Nel nome del Padre, e del Figlio, e dello Spirito Santo. Amen.
The Vatican said today Pope Paul, as a Christmas gesture, personally has arranged for Rome's poor to get back, without charge, all clothing, blankets, and shoes they pawned during the year at the city's pawn shops. The Pope made a lump sum payment, although the amount wasn't disclosed, to recover the items from the Rome Bank, which runs the pawn shops. In Miami today, President-elect Nixon visited Barbara Jane Mackle, the 20-year-old co-ed who recently was kidnapped and held captive for 80 hours. Her millionaire father, Robert, is a longtime friend of Nixon, and Miss Mackle worked for Nixon during the election campaign. The Pentagon said today it is seeking more qualified Negroes, Puerto Ricans, Mexican Americans, and other minorities for the 3 military service academies. The announcement said that minorities enrollment at the academies has quadrupled in the last 5 years. It still amounts to only 1% of the total. Prices closed lower on the New York Stock Exchange today. The volume was 11.5 million shares. The exchange index lost 8 cents.
Hands this lovely, this smooth, this soft, this can only belong to a single girl. A single girl who indulges her hands in Paquin. Paquin hand cream has more of the good, rich things in it to make your hands softer. Paquin is for single girls, whether they're married or not. Paquin hand cream or lotion.
For all the hundreds and hundreds of people who are suffering from the muscle aches and pains of the flu, Bengay brings you this moment of hope. This good, warm feeling going for hours, just rub in the pain-relieving medication of Bengay for deep down warmth wherever the flu hurts. And feel better.
Charles Kuralt, who's been on the road many places this year, found a Christmas story in the Texas town of Eagle Pass on the Mexican border. Charles?
In the days before Christmas, Rumel Fuentes and his wife Jo attended no parties. There was no time for that. Every morning before dawn, Rumel left his small house, his school books in hand, walked through the dirt streets of Benavides Heights, the neighborhood in which he was born, and whose people, all Mexican-American like himself, he knows so well, and caught a bus to Uvalde, where the nearest college is, Southwest Texas Junior College. Uvalde is 70 miles away. It makes for a long day.
There's nothing remarkable about a man catching a bus before dawn, of course. Rumel and Jo Fuentes don't think there's anything remarkable about their lives at all. And it would be nice to think they are right.
Jo Fuentes is a girl from Ohio who came to Eagle Pass as a Vista volunteer. She married Rumel last summer. While he is at school, she serves as a Planned Parenthood counselor. When Rumel gets home, he's pretty tired, but he usually drops around to the wooden shack which he helped acquire as a neighborhood center. Some of the women are usually over there cooking tamales.
¿Dónde está Lupe por ahí? ¿No vino ahora? Sí, ahí viene. Ándale, Lupe, pues, ¿qué tal está escondido por acá?
The tamales sell for 4 cents apiece, and the money goes into a fund, and with the fund, they're building a new neighborhood center. They've been cooking the tamales for 3 years, and doing the construction themselves. They've got a floor for the new building.
So the building is going up on the strength of tamales and old clothes.
That's right. It's really...
Isn't that a slow and frustrating way to build a building?
Yes, but I think we like to think that we're accomplishing more than just building a building. It's a matter of organizing the community, the poor people, getting them organization-minded, and knowing that there's more force in, or what can be done if people get organized and be friendlier and neighborly, and when we have a common goal, that if everybody pitches in and does their best, it'll be good.
At night, you might think Rumel Fuentes would spend an hour or two at home, but at night, he's busy teaching. There's so much to be taught in Eagle Pass. 3 nights a week, American history for citizenship applicants. 2 nights a week, classes for high school dropouts.
And I'm going to give you some phrases, and I want each of you on your papers to write a complete sentence with the... Go ahead. Sit down.
The funds for these classes were cut off by Washington a few weeks ago, and most of the teachers have left. But as long as the students keep studying, Rumel Fuentes keeps teaching.
Both of you are involved. Involved is hardly the word. Both of you are
up to your ears in other people's problems. Why do you do it?
Well, it's just a matter of, I think anybody who has the capabilities to do anything about another person's sad situation should do it. It's not a matter of altruism or anything else. If you have the capabilities, that's what you should do.
We forgot to mention that Jo Fuentes also spends half a day as secretary at the Methodist Church. She's a Catholic, but just as Planned Parenthood needs a counselor, the Methodist Church needs a secretary. Like her husband, she has the idea that Eagle Pass can be a lot better place to live, and she has found various ways to help make it so. The Girl Scouts went caroling one night last week, and the old songs of Christmas filled the darkness in Benavides Heights, and people came to their windows and porches to listen. Jo Fuentes is the Girl Scout leader, too.
Sleep in heavenly peace.
Finally, there came an hour when Jo and Rommel Fuentes could invite their niece over and decorate a tree of their own. It was a good hour, and they let us share it. They were still puzzled about one thing. They do not consider their lives unusual, and why we wished to tell about them at this time of year, they could not imagine. Maybe you can. Charles Kuralt, CBS News, Eagle Pass, Texas.
Oh, yes, very much so. It all looks real good.
And that's the way it is, this Christmas Eve, 1968. This is Walter Cronkite for all of us on the CBS Evening News, wishing all of you a Merry Christmas.
Now there is a company with a real story to tell. Ramada Inns. You know, luxury for less really doesn't mean much until you've tried it. It's more than free ice and TV. It's a little more plush. Beds that are extra comfortable. Tastier foods prepared with more pride. Swimming pools designed for fun in the sun. And more smiles with the service. But here's where luxury for less really counts. Ramada Inn rates are lower than comparable motor hotels, and at Ramada, kids under 12 are free. Ramada offers credit card luxury too. Chevron, Sohio, Sunray DX, Atlantic Richfield, Imperial Oil, American Express, Carte Blanche and Diners Club, and of course their own Ramada Inn credit card. You can make advanced reservations at any Ramada Inn, coast to coast, just by calling the nearest Ramada. Yes, that's quite a story. Ramada Inns, luxury for less.
Direct from our newsroom in New York, in color, this has been the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite. Tonight at 10, 9 Central Time, the CBS News magazine 60 Minutes pays a Christmas visit to the family of the late Dr. Martin Luther King. Also tonight, an essay on what Christ looked like. Those stories and others tonight on 60 Minutes. Tomorrow...